Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we are doing another Hour of Devastation Amonkhet Intermediate Swiss Draft League. So we've got Steward of Solidarity, Ambuscade, Blur of Blades, Lethal Sting, Sandblast. So Blue-Red would want the Blur of Blades. Otherwise, the best pick is probably Lethal Sting. I give over Ambuscade just because it deals with everything. So, I don't know if I'm exactly ready to just go blue-red every single draft yet. I kind of hope I don't have to do that. But Blur of Blades is a pretty excellent card for that deck. It's a great tempo card. I think we'll probably just take the Lethal Sting. I think Steward of Solidarity is excellent, but Lethal Sting does deal with everything, so I think it actually does kind of unfortunately suck against the blue-red deck, though, since it's a little bit slow and it has a downside, but it's so bad against, well, no, it's not bad against Unsummon, because it's just an additional cost to put the counter on. Alright, so here we could take the Hour of Eternity. I actually think this is a good card. There's a Scrapper in here. There's the Unsummon. In black, we have a Bone Slasher, a Wretched Camel, and a Razaketh's Right. But Hour of Eternity is a pretty good rare, I think. It's probably... You have to get to the late game to make it work, though, which is kind of a problem. Bone Slasher is a kind of unexciting second pick, and taking the Scrapper here is probably okay, actually. It's more exciting than the Camel. I like Hour of Eternity, but... I don't know if I want it here. I think I'm going to err towards low curve since I've just been losing too much against blue-red. So we'll take the Scrapper, which I think is the best card in that pack. Okay, so now another Unsummon. The Unquenchable Thirst. Is Unsummon just better for the blue-red deck than Unquenchable Thirst? I'm not even sure. It might actually be. Probably is. Because it doesn't have the desert requirement. Alright, we'll just take the Unsummon now. So now I could take the Entity. There's an Archer, another Lethal Sting, Unquenchable Thirst. Well, let's take the Entity. I mean, I think it's the best archetype in the format, so if I'm getting past Unsummon, into Entity, into Thirst, maybe the deck can actually just come together here. I mean, if I wasn't being past these cards, I wouldn't take them. Tragic Lesson now. Like, I could have had another Unsummon. Sunscourge Champion this late? That's crazy. Probably take the Eternal, though. It's pretty... I'm basically just looking for all the tier 1 cards for this archetype, if you want to pull the trigger on it, you know? Like Kindled Fury. Chandra's Defeat's a pretty excellent card, too. But this is a 1-drop one that's pretty good for the deck. Chandra's Defeat might be better because it's a pretty excellent sideboard card against blue-red, too. Alright, getting Blur Blades this late is pretty crazy. It's so difficult not to draft this deck now that I know what the best pieces for it are, and I know how good it is. See, that's like the major issue now I have with this format is I know what all the best cards for the deck are, and I think it's the best deck. So it's like, how do I not draft it? Look at this. I mean, we're wheeling Unsummon. We're getting the best pieces for it now. Like, even trying to actively avoid it with my first pick, I'm still just, like, falling into already just a fantastic shell for this deck. Now we can take the Kindled Fury. Unquenchable Thirst number 2. I mean, this deck is insane already. We're going to cut the blue card. This is already probably the best pack 1 shell for this deck I've ever had. We're going to pass the Bone Slasher, let him have that. which is a great card for the zombie deck. So we'll let him have a great card for the zombie deck, and in return, we could take another. We could first pick another Blur of Blades. 2 is probably fine for this deck. Eternal of Harsh Truths. This deck kind of just wants to deal a lot of damage quick, which makes Blur of Blades really good for it, I think. So we're going to take that first pick here over the Eternal. Another Blur of Blades, but maybe we want the Scrapper now. Like, you can probably have too many. Actually, I think we just take the Unsummon. We can find our 2 and 3 drops as we go, but having this much tempo is just going to be crazy. Alright, we're going to take the Open Fire now over the Eternal and the Thorn Moloch. So we've got all the good spells. This is like the opposite problem I've had with the last 2 times I've drafted the deck. I have all of the best spells this deck could ask for, but now I actually need the creatures. So Devastator we can take, but I'll take Scrapper over it. I think Scrapper is better. It's cheaper. It's got Menace, which is much better with the tempo cards like Unsummon. So we'll take that. Now I definitely want the Archer. Could take another Eternal too, but I really like the Archer a lot. If we don't end up getting any deserts, we're not going to be able to make these thirsts work. And Magmaroth is actually pretty good for this deck too. But the whole point is just you want to play a 2 and a 3 drop and then just tempo them out as quickly as you can. So I'm just going to diversify and take the Archer over the Eternal here. Another Scrapper is fine. The Scrappers are, I think, fantastic for this deck. Certainly a fine Thorned Moloch substitute since they've got the Menace, which, like I said, is just so excellent with the tempo spells that we have. Alright, probably just take Devastator now. It's fine. Good 4-drop. Could take the Reed Stalker. You can either go tempo or bounce. I'm probably okay with that. Otherwise, we take a Kindled Fury, but I think we actually might want to pick up some creatures now. Countervailing Winds is probably pretty decent for this deck too, since you tend to play a lot of cheap spells. But I'm going to take the Reed Stalker. So, Tragic Lesson number 2 or Granitic Titan. I'm kind of hoping I wouldn't have to play a Granitic Titan, but even a Tragic Lesson number 2 seems kind of bad, but I guess we'll take it. So, we probably only need like 4 or 5 more creatures. It would be nice to get a desert or 2 to make these unquenchable thirsts better. I guess we'll just take the blue card. I don't think we're going to play it though. Thorn Moloch Wheeling is fantastic. It's a premium card for this deck. Alright, we'll just cut the blue spell again. Yeah, I don't think the wall's going to happen. We actually didn't manage to pick up any deserts, so we might not be able to make the unquenchable thirst work. But the good news is we still have 3 unsummons, double Blur of Blades, which is, and an Open Fire, so our spell suite is still pretty excellent. I don't think Plague Belcher is worth a cent, actually, is it? Interestingly, that a 3 mana, it is worth a cent. It's worth exactly 1 cent. Alright, so I think we want to go for the... I think Javelineer would be actually really good for this deck. But I think we need to lower the curve. Like, we have the right tempo, now we just need the cheap threats. So it might be like a Neff Crop Entangler. Because if we can keep this curve low enough, we're going to be just fine. Like, 2 to 3 mana, just tempo, we should win. And even without these excellent cards for our deck in Javelineer and Minotaur, and maybe we even wheel one, but I'm going to take the Entangler. Just get a nice, cheap 2-drop threat. Could take the Brute Strength now. There's a Winds of Rebuke. Winds might even be better for the deck than Brute Strength. Like, Brute Strength's good too, but can't stress enough how good tempo is for this deck. Really, I think the 1 mana tempo is kind of the key, though, a little bit. Like, for now, I'm probably just going to set the Unquenchable Thirsts aside. They're certainly playable without deserts, but I'm not sure if that's what we want. I mean, we could take a desert too. Certainly fine. Probably, I don't know which one I want more. Probably win more games on Brute Strength, I imagine. Okay, Adept is cheap. There's another 3-drop in here. We have the Illumination card draw, but we already have double Tragic Lesson, so we probably don't need that. Probably take the Adept, but it's not quite the beats I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little more able to push damage through a little bit better than this, but we'll take it. So another one, we have the Manticore to maybe finish the opponent off. Could take the Initiate. I think Manticore's fine too. I like that it hits opponent's face, but I probably want the 2 mana, the guy that can push damage through, plus like let our guys sneak through damage too is pretty nice. Later. I think we'll take the Initiate. So there's Cradle, which is a desert for our Thirst. There's Pursue Glory, which is probably fine too, but I don't think I really want it. And there's like Illusory Wrappings. Could take the Commit, but this is too expensive, I think. Too expensive for us. 4 mana bounce. Well, I guess it's better than bounce, but that's pretty expensive for what you get. But I'm probably not going to play the Unquenchable Thirst. I'm probably not going to play Wrappings. I mean, we can do the Commit to Memory, I guess. I feel like we're never going to cast Memory, though. I guess we could take the Cradle. Possibly turn on our Unquenchable Thirst if we get lucky. Like now we could take Desert, but I actually think Blazing Volley is pretty excellent. Hey, Drakehaven. There's Cartouche of Knowledge, too. Open into Wonder, but Blazing Volley is pretty excellent sideboard card. But I may want to turn on our Unquenchable Thirst. I'm actually really considering it. Like, playing a couple colorless lands is probably okay, especially if they deal damage or make a creature. Like, making an Unquenchable Thirst 2 mana get rid of a creature is pretty excellent. I guess we'll take the Desert. Because now we can take another... We can basically take another one and have a deck, or find a way to upgrade the Adept. Like, we don't need the Vizier. If we get 3 Deserts, we're good. And we're not super color intensive, which is also nice. 16 lands, 3 of which is colorless, might be an issue. So I might... I'm possibly play 17 lands if 3 of... Well, I don't know. I have to think about that, but I guess we don't need any of these other cards. Zenith Seeker... Open into Wonder is good card advantage. I just feel like it's too slow for what we're trying to do. I guess I'll take the Zenith Seeker, but I don't want to play that either. We don't have Cycle or Discard, really? Is that right? Not really. I'd almost rather have like a Hyena pack. Just in case. Wrappings, which I don't think we need now. Tormenting Voice, maybe. We already have the card advantage we need, though. Tormenting Voice actually works well, though, if I run 17 lands, because I can discard a Desert. Possibly. Kopesh, no, we get the Winds back, so we'll take that. Alright. Okay. I'm satisfied. Take a Cancel. Take a Pursue Glory, I guess. Take a Wrappings. Again, like all the on-color playables. I almost like Illumination more than... Like, I'd almost rather play an Illumination over a Tragic Lesson, one of them. Possibly. So I might just cut, like, the Adept. Which would only leave us 12 creatures, but... then I could cut, like, we can start cutting some spells here, too. We can cut 2 spells, probably. Like, well, I kind of want all these cards. Probably the Kindled Fury can get cut. Three Deserts are fine for what we're doing, though, I think. Huh. I don't want to go to 11 creatures. That seems a bit excessive. So maybe I cut like maybe I cut the Lesson and run the Illumination because you can cycle it too. And then I'll have Tragic Lesson Or I'll have Illumination Tormenting Voice. That seems fine. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the way that we should run it. It's creature light, but this deck is supposed to be. You only need to stick a couple creatures and then you just tempo them out. Or get the card advantage you need. We're not too color intensive, although I guess Hyena Pack is 2 red. Could do the wall, I guess? It doesn't... You need to push the damage through. Like, the reward for the tempo is you're pushing damage through quickly. But the problem with Flameblade Adept is it doesn't deal a lot of damage. Maybe it adds up, though, on turn 1. Do we have anything? We have basically Tormenting Voice, and that's it. That synergizes with it. That's not much. I guess an Illumination. I was just thinking the Hyena Pack because it's got 3 power, but double red could actually be a challenge. I don't want to play any double color spells with 3 colorless lands in a 16 land deck. I think we cut that. And I guess we do the Adept just to make sure we have enough creatures. Interesting. Okay, I think it's fine. I think this deck can work. We have more red than blue, but we probably want to do as even as possible. 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not going to lie. But making those Unquenchable Thirsts online is pretty good. I'm a little bit worried about the mana base, as I should be, but I don't know. I think I'm going to risk it. This is a dangerous mana base, definitely. But I do think having a 2 mana just deal with anything is pretty powerful for this deck. It really is. As well as, you know, stopping something for Scrappers to get through, works with Archer, turns on Prowess. I don't know. It's difficult, but ultimately we're going to risk it. So we'll run it like this. We'll see you round 1.